to part 3 of Success Coaching, an instructional training video developed by academic support programs and the Holman Success Center. Let's get started. In this video, we're going to go over some of the housekeeping or paperwork inherent in success coaching practice. We'll talk about how to turn your own meeting notes into official advising notes that get entered in my.image, along with some of the general policies to take the mystery out of how much and just what you should and should not say in meeting notes. The meeting notes you keep for your personal use should not be accessible by anyone outside of EMU employees, and those only after approval of the Director of Academic Support Programs. Meeting notes should summarize the content of your meeting and capture anything that you need to remember for the next meeting. Additionally, they'll form the basis of the advising notes that you enter online. We'll have a handout for you on advising note policies at in-person training, but for now, keep in mind that the advising notes you enter in my.image are viewable by anyone with a faculty tab. You primarily want to only include notes that will help the student or notes that will help future advisors understand that student or the advice that you gave. Notes that will facilitate the relationship with the student, the possible consequences of not following the advice given, referrals of a non-sensitive nature only, comments that will help you in the future in your interactions with that student, and any no-show appointments. You'll specifically want to exclude any subjective comments about the student. If they look unwell, they seem disinterested, not making an effort, or so on. Exclude any referrals to a physician, CAPS, mental health provider, Title IX, or the Disability Resource Center. I typically say refer to appropriate on or off-campus resource, depending on which it is. Don't enter anything the student has said to you about anyone by name or other identifier, such as this semester's math teacher, especially if their comments were negative. And finally, don't enter anything that the student confides in you of a personal nature. Things like, I had a fight with my boyfriend, I don't like my stepdad, my period is late, those things. If you have concerns, the best option is to seek out advice from the director. Otherwise, if you're in doubt, leave it out. Some other policies concerning advising notes. We'll also note a no-show appointment. We note if the student cancels on you more than 3 or more times. The student obviously needs some help connecting with us. We usually make a note if the student arrives unprepared for meetings quite often. You can make a judgment call on exactly how much you should say in advising notes about this. Remember, never put in advising notes something that you wouldn't say to the student's face, because they can read their own notes too. Entering advising notes in my.image.edu is actually pretty simple. Just log into the website and then click the Faculty tab. Now click the Faculty Services tab available below, and then the Student Advising Overviews link. Next, choose the UG Student Advising Overview for an undergrad student. You'll be presented with some search options. You can enter the student's EID or the first part of their email address without the @image.edu part. If you choose to do a name lookup, you can do a partial search. Make sure you actually have the right student. Some names are really popular. Click on the EID of the correct student underneath the list returned below. Now you should be looking at the advising page for your student. At the very bottom, you'll find any advising notes already entered for this student. You'll also see an empty text box for you to submit your own advising notes. Your note will automatically be date stamped, so if you're entering notes from a previous meeting or from a previous date, begin with the date of the appointment in your advising note. Keep in mind, we do not have the ability to edit or delete advising notes from My.eMEDGE. If you're worried about making a mistake, especially in misgendering a student, use just student instead of a name and use the third person pronouns instead of names at all. Great job! Join us in part 4 of this series where we focus on the subsequent and follow-up meetings.